Okay, this is the 4-4 defense. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe to you what some of the assignments are for the players in the 4-4. As soon as I get a marker that works, I'll do that for you. 4-4. Okay, we'll start off with the players up front. We got 4 down linemen. We've got a tackle and a nose guard. Obviously, you know what your nose guard would look like. He's kind of got like no neck, and he's wide. Kind of looks like a trash can or fire plug. He's a guy that you'd like to get double teamed in here. If he's a tough enough kid, 2 guys should have to take him. If he can get double teamed, that's a beautiful thing. He's going to take up 2 guys and save your linebackers from getting blocked. The end away from power, so I drew a little line here. This is assuming that there's a tight end, so power is going to be to the defensive right. This is the open side end, okay? We call it the weak side end, open side end. This kid is going to be a very fast kid. He's going to penetrate, so here's where the fullback would be. His aiming point is going to be right where the fullback would put his hands down, okay? So everybody's going to try to aim somewhere in this area because that's where most of the handoffs are going to take place, right about there. So your open side end is a kid, he could almost be like more of a track type of kid. Long arms, long legs, fast off the mark. So if you've got a guy that's quick and can get into the backfield fast and he's tough, then that would be your guy that you're going to put at the open side end. The tight end side is what we're going to call the anchor end, and he's going to be a bigger guy. His job is to take care of, same thing, he's going to be coming off the heels of the tackle, but there's a tight end here. So he's going to take the same path. He's responsible for that C gap. All right, so the first gap right after the center is the A gap, B gap, and C gap. Same thing on the other side. So he's responsible for that C gap just like this guy is, but he has a tight end. If that tight end tries to block him down, he needs to fight and try to stay the ground right here. He can't get washed down. All right. The weak side, strong side tackle, all right, we like to have a guy that's fast enough to shoot gaps. In a 50, it's a different style of defense. And the 50, the tackles really don't penetrate. The rule in a 50 is the tackles and nose guard get to the heels of the offensive lineman. And they're basically blocking for the linebackers. That's the job in a 50 of the tackles and nose, is to hold the line up so nobody gets to the linebackers. And a 5-2 defense, if you penetrate and the guards get to the linebackers, you're going to lose the game. So we don't like a 50 where you're kind of holding off. We want to send guys in the 4-4. So the tackle does not have to be a big guy. The nose guard is usually going to be a guy that has to get double teamed. We don't mind if this guy is pretty quick and he can shoot the gap and get in the backfield. The whole idea of the 4-4 defense is this is a penetrating defense. You want them to get inside the backfield. Front 4 guys, their job is to get in the backfield any which way you can. So it could be crawling on all 4s. We don't want them holding guys up or getting tangled up. In the 50, they're holding up offensive linemen and working their way in the backfield. Not in the 4-4. We're going to send them. All right. Now your Mike linebacker here, your middle linebacker. That's your the guy that's going to plug everything that you can get. So if you were, for example, an I formation team and the fullback comes, you want the Mike back to blow up and take on that fullback. He's going to take on all lead blockers. So usually when you have your Mike, this is like one of your best linebackers. And the weak side linebacker, don't misunderstand because it's weak. He's one of your best athletes, and he's going to be the guy that makes the tackles because your monster back is going to take on all the blocks. The Mike will come through, and the fullback and him will collide, and the Will then will follow up and make a tackle. So your 2 toughest and best tacklers are going to be here. This guy's the guy that's going to smash into everything. This is the athlete that's going to clean up. If you can set up your defense so that he's to the side where he's going to take on a blocker, this guy's going to clean up and make the tackles. That's how you want to set that up. This is your strong side linebacker, the Sam, and this is our Rover. He'll go to the weak side. Both of these guys need to be able to be athletes where they can come up hard and stop anything from going to the outside, and they need to be able to go into the flats for coverage or if there's a slot, they need to come out over here and go man to man. So this is tough to find a couple of good outside linebackers. The Sam is just like a strong safety. So if you had two safeties, that would be a strong safety. And then you're going to walk him down maybe to the tight end side. He might have to be man over the tight. Or if it's a run game to the tight end, he needs to come up. Now, the mistake that a lot of people make in outside contain is that they send their outside linebackers outside for outside contain. We don't want that. We want them coming directly uphill, okay, or downhill, we should say, so that if there's a sweep coming up here, it gets turned back in. So if a guard is pulling, they want to get this guy kicked out. So as that guard's pulling, I want to get kicked out with my inside or downfield shoulder so that the guard kicks me out and that running back cuts right back in on the inside. If I get turned in or this guy gets turned in, there's nobody there for outside to hold on the flank, and they're going to get to the outside. So this guy's always in a bind, and he needs to be a real good athlete, somebody that can figure out, read defenses, be able to be in a coverage. Same with this guy to this side. This guy here doesn't necessarily need to be as tough as him. He'll go to the weak side. So if you have a tight end and slot, then the rover would cover here, and the Sam would go to the tight end. All right. For coverages, if it's cover 3, we'll divide the field up into 3 zones. Here's a third, and a third, and the corners will drop. Safety's got center field, and the corners will drop again. Hang on one second. Now, so that would be cover 3. Cover 2, which is tough with only one safety, but for just the sake of the demonstration, cover 2, the field is going to be divided up. We'll have 2 safeties, for example, a strong safety and a free safety. And they will divide the field in half. He's got deep outside, deep middle to outside, and then the corners will have underneath in the flats. So you got 2 deep guys, 2 guys flats. We use this if we needed additional run support down here underneath. With 2 safety, or with 1 safety, it's really hard. But for us, if we had a situation where we wanted to go cover 2 to one side and man to the other, sometimes you can get away with that. We call it cover 21, 2 and 1. That might be a little advanced for the younger guys. Now, to change the alignments with these guys up front, what we do is we have numbers, and we'll start off inside this gap. This would be a 2 alignment. Head up on the guard is a 3 alignment. And in the B gap here is a 4. So our alignment can go 2, 3, 4, 3 different spots. Now, if the power is to this side and we call a 42 alignment, 4 is always to the strength. The first number is to the strength. So it would be 4, so the tackle would come here, and the nose would come here. 42 alignment. If we wanted the 24 alignment, the power is here, so the first number is 2. My tackle goes here, and my nose would go there. And then you can have every variation you want. You can have a 33 alignment, a 22 alignment, and a 44 alignment. Linebackers. If there's a tackle in the A gap or he's in a 2 alignment, then that Mike should move over to the B. He can't stay here. If this guy's in the B technique or a 4 technique and he's in the B gap, then this linebacker would move over and cover that gap. So it looks like the line shifted this way and the linebackers shifted that way. That's our basic rough idea of what we would take care of the 4-4 defense. Now, if we had double slot, obviously we're able to move our outside linebackers out and they can then cover the flats or cover man to man, so we'd have coverage with these guys, so that way we're very flexible. Sometimes different defenses, when teams spread you out, you might be locked in tight, and that's not what we want. When we call blitzes, if we're blitzing these two guys in the middle, we have simple calls. The A gap is here, so if we wanted to blitz the A gap, we would call it attack. Begins with an A. Hitting a B gap would be bullets. If we wanted to go to a C gap, we would call it a crash. Okay, and if we want to come outside, people call it dog and all this other stuff, we call it lightning. Obviously the L doesn't mean anything, we just happen to call it lightning if we want our outside linebackers to fly upfield. Now, how do we tell which guy is going to go and which guy is going to stay? It's very simple. If we call attack strong, tight end is here. So if I'm on defense and the tight end line's up there, to our right, whatever my call for the right is, rover, roam, something with an R, attack strong, then the guy to the strong side is running the attack. So you could have attack strong, bullets weak. So the Mike would go to the A gap and the Will would go to the B gap. And obviously you have every variation that you want. The defensive coordinator has to make sure that he's not putting two guys in the same gap. So, for example, here's the center, guard, and tackle. If he were in a 24 alignment, center, guard, tight end, guard, tackle, tight end, so the power is here. So if he was in a 24 alignment, he'd have a tackle here and a tackle here, and if he calls bullets weak, he'd be sending a guy to where there's already a guy, and that's a no-no because one guy can just block this gap and you'd have a big hole in here. So you always want to put guys in a spot where there's already not a player, where there's a gap. So for example, you got a guy in the A gap, then you would want to blitz the B gap here. You already have a guy in the B gap, you want to blitz an A gap. Sometimes in the pros they get technical and they twist and move and do things of the such, and it makes it work. But we don't twist that much because in high school a lot of times it's a run play, and the play hits so quickly you'll be out of position instead of in position. So that's the basics of the 4-4, the alignments, what the ends would look like, what these guys would look like along with here. Obviously your corners are basketball players that can cover, and the safety is probably one of your best athletes that can go and cover, or he can go pick off a ball if it gets up there high in the defensive coverage.